Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So that's going to be WWE SmackDown, AEW Rampage, and AEW Collision. Yeah, it's definitely been a little while since I did something like this, but here we are. We're back. Better than ever. Thank you, Eric Bischoff. And let's start off with SmackDown, where we get a little recap of the last couple hours of Drew McIntyre, him losing at Clash at the Castle thanks to CM Punk, him quitting on Raw. It's all very cinematic and very interesting. Then we go into the arena. We're in Chicago, so of course that means CM Punk. He comes out, cuts a promo, saying, wrestling or even talking in front of your hometown crowd is pressure. It's a little crazy. And a lot of people wondered if I could handle the pressure back in 2011 when he won the WWE title from John Cena. But I promised to walk out as champion, and that's exactly what I did. And you all see where this is going. I was told all week that I would be jumped if I got involved in Glasgow. Now, did I ruin everyone's day? Yep. But Drew kicked me while I was down during WrestleMania season. So there was 3 options I had. Stay down. That's not an option. Get up but turn the other cheek. That is also not an option. So instead, I got up and I made his life a living hell. While Drew, you sent me to the hospital. I sent you to the morgue. Metaphorically speaking. Drew couldn't take the pressure of winning in his hometown. So now he's taken the ball and gone home. And before he can continue, someone pretty interesting comes out. It's, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Paul Heyman. And why this is interesting? Paul Heyman, when Punk first was in WWE, was CM Punk's manager, which was honestly probably Punk's best run. Anyway, Paul Heyman pretty much says, look, despite being the wise man for Roman Reigns, you're obviously my best friend, and I'm here under an urgent situation. Then Punk says to Paul, hey, you okay, man? You look shooken up. Come on, get in here. Paul Heyman steps into the ring, and they share a nice big old hug, which is a nice moment. I like that. So, anyway. So, Paul tells Punk that, sorry, I need that, which, yeah, I think we all needed that, Paul. He said to Punk, driving in, listening to the radio, I heard the host say that Chicago is your town, which really pissed off Solo Sikoa. And now that Solo is in charge of the Bloodline, he wants every town to be his. And now I got a favor to ask you, and then also, could you do me a favor? So any day, you're the best in the ring. But if you don't get out of here now, they're gonna come for you. And while we do have extra security for the Wyatts, referencing what happened on Raw, and the favor I'm asking of you is to leave the building. Punk then asks, seriously? You want me to leave? The Bloodline are going to jump me in Chicago? Well, before anything else can come out comes Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa, a.k.a. the New Blood. I'm not going to call them the Bloodline. And Solo pretty much says, yo, Punk, you want to be on my show in my city? You have 2 options. Pay respects to the Bloodline, or 2, we take you out permanently. So, what's it gonna be? Then Punk turns to Paul Heyman, says, what's the favor that you want? Take me with you. Oh, Paul. I can't help but feel bad for Paul Heyman in his situation. And Punk says, Solo, wait a second. I acknowledge the fact I don't see the bloodline here. I see a bitch-ass tribal chief standing in front of me, along with some fake-ass Usos. So the bloodline, they surround the ring. They get ready to beat down Punk. In comes Cody Rhodes with a steel chair. Bloodline bail. Then Cody Rhodes gets the mic. Says, Solo, you fashioned yourself as the head of the table. And while I've already beaten one head of the table, we're going to settle this right here tonight. What now? That was definitely a big surprise when I heard it. I honestly thought we were going to get Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam. Although, wait until later. Something's interesting going down. So, we have the challenge for Cody Rhodes and Solo for later on. We then see Bianca Belair. She's getting ready in the back. Jade Cargill then rolls up, pretty much says, look, I know tonight you're focused on winning this triple threat to get into Money in the Bank, but we need to talk about a rematch for the tag titles. So tonight, go handle your business. We'll get the tag titles another day. So, it does look like Bianca may be the favorite to win Money in the Bank, although we'll get to that in 1 second. And it looks like there's some dissension between Jade and Bianca. At least a little. So then we see Cody Rhodes. He's walking backstage. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens walk in. He says, with Randy saying, are you sure you want to do this alone, Cody? You know Solo's going to have a plan. Cody then says, yeah, I got this. Then Randy leaves. Kevin Owens stays. Pretty much says, you know Bloodline's going to have a plan, right? Then Cody replies, yeah, Solo sure does have a plan. I do too. And they kind of high five and Cody leaves. So, definitely going to be something at the end of this episode. We then go to our first Money in the Bank qualifier for the women on SmackDown, as Bianca Belair takes on Mia Yim and Chelsea Green. Chelsea immediately going for a roll-up, but that gets countered, and they just start whooping on each other. Bianca Belair tries for a moonsault, that misses. Mia Yim tries for a baseball slide to the outside, that misses. Chelsea Green definitely in control most of this matchup. About halfway through, Mia goes for an knee defeat that gets blocked by Green. Green tries for an unpretty her, but that gets blocked. Mia Yim with a Styles Clash, and it was a pretty sweet looking one too, but that only gets a 2 count. Then Bianca hits a KO, gets back in, hits a suplex. KOD on Mia Yim. Goes for the pin. Then Chelsea Green sneaks in, dumps Bianca to the outside. Cover. 1, 2, 3. And your winner, and qualifying for the women's Money in the Bank, Chelsea Green. I know I can't do it as well as Kayla Braxton, but I gave it my shot. Anyway, through all this, we see Bayley, the current women's champion, watching in the back. And then Blair Davenport shows up. Definitely good to see her getting some more TV time. She pretty much says, tell Naomi I'm looking forward to our qualifying match next week. And look out, because I'm going to win Money in the Bank, and I'm looking to cash in. Oh, Blair Davenport pointing to the fences like Babe Ruth. I love it. Love the confidence. So then we have Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman. They're in the Bloodline locker room. With Solo pretty much telling Paul Heyman, tell the Tongans that KO and Orton aren't there. But Paul, I also need you to do something. You have to do it. And before you come back, we need to talk. Oh, Paul Lee is in trouble. So it's obvious Solo has the plan for tonight. We'll see what happens. Then we go kind of the battles of the arena. Like right in front of a great, one of those up and down doors that lets trucks in. And it's an interview with Grayson Waller, one half of the tag champions. With Waller shouting out his partner Austin Theory, who is not there. And he pretty much points to the shot too, says he's going to win Money in the Bank for Theory. In come DIY, who accuse Waller of really not caring about Theory. They argue a little bit more. Then we hear a ba-boom, ba-boom against the big door. One of the security guards then opens the door. It goes slowly, revealing Punk, bloodied, unconscious, laying at the feet of Drew McIntyre. So all of that was indeed a trap for Monday. And yeah, Drew jumped CM Punk in Chicago, which I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. Anyway, so Drew picks CM Punk's dead pretty much body up in a military press position, walks him all the way to the entrance ramp, dumps him off his shoulders, and it looks like he's going to do the "it's clobbering time" taunt, but then he looks at Punk's wrist, and he takes off a band that it has been revealed via social media that it has the names of Larry, his dog, and AJ Lee, his significant other. And he puts it in his pocket. So this brings out Nick Aldis, the GM, and other officials. And while the officials were checking on Punk, Aldis gets into Drew McIntyre's face. They push each other a little bit. So Aldis not afraid to get his hands dirty. Are we looking at a possible in-ring return for the former two-time NWA champion? We shall see. And then we see Punk get loaded into an ambulance, get taken to a hospital. And no, it's not a local medical facility. You guys stop that. So, I'm going to say this. Effective angle? Yes. I do wish maybe something else would have happened with Drew. Like maybe we see him show up somewhere else. Like maybe TNA or something. I wouldn't have minded that. I feel like this angle, while effective, was a little bit rushed. But again, I guess they did it in Chicago for a reason. For Drew to get a little bit of revenge on Punk. Although, I do wish they saved that for a match, but I guess Punk isn't exactly cleared to compete yet, which is a shame, which I thought was going to happen in the opening angle, but it is what it is. So, yeah, hopefully Punk heals up soon so we can see the end of this story. Next up, we got our first men's Money in the Bank qualifying match as Tama Tonga takes on Carmelo Hayes and Randy Orton. And at first, Tonga and Hayes team up on Randy Orton, which That's interesting. Little alliance between the two heels. That almost immediately breaks down with the two pretty much going right after each other, including an awesome looking code breaker from Hayes, but that gets but then Hayes eats a facebuster from Tonga, which is Tonga's finish, which is weird. That only gets a 2 count. Then Orton gets back up, gets Tama Tonga into the DDT position. Hayes gets on the apron, double DDT. Orton is set up for the RKO. Tanga Loa comes out, distracts Orton long enough for Orton to take him out. Then we see Kevin Owens coming out. He brawls with Tanga Loa. Then I guess that distracts Randy Orton long enough for Carmelo Hayes to come in, roll up, your winner, Steel and 1, Carmelo Hayes. This match was a whole lot of fun. It continues the story between Orton, Owens, Cody, and the Bloodline, which is always good. And it gives a young man like Carmelo Hayes a chance to shine. And Carmelo Hayes and Money in the Bank? Yes, please. Absolutely. We then get a video recap of the Wyatt 6 from Raw, which they did a dang good job producing that. That was awesome. We then get a promo from LA Knight, yeah! And he immediately gets on the mic, pretty much says, look, I don't want to waste any time. Logan Paul, get your ass out here so we can talk. Beat drops. No music. Logan Paul ain't coming out. LA Knight then continues. Oh, so we're doing this again, are we? I said I wanted the US title. Paul said no. Now this is a press issue. I got the call that he'd be here tonight. What's he do? He no-shows Chicago. Now next week it's going to be me versus you versus Santos in a Money in the Bank qualifier. And when I win, I'm going to cash in on you, Logan. Then this brings out Santos Escobar, which third part of that Money in the Bank. LA Knight says to him, I didn't ask for you, I wanted Logan. Santos Escobar replies, I didn't need an invitation tonight. You must be delusional. Chasing Paul, it's embarrassing. And next week, you're not just dealing with Paul, you're dealing with me too. Then LA Knight replies, brother, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking past you. And before Knight can continue, Santos Escobar with a low attack on LA Knight from behind. LA Knight pretty much immediately fights back. BFT to Santos. But then in comes Logan Paul, who attacks LA Knight from behind. And then lines up. KO punch. Right to the noodle. And honestly, that was a pretty good, effective angle. Gets me excited for next week's qualifier. Although, let's face it, Santos Escobar is there to eat the pin. As talented as the dude is, and he is talented, he's there to pretty much eat the pin. Next up, we got our next Money in the Bank qualifying match, as it's Kevin Owens taking on Andrade, taking on Grayson Waller. And before the match can get going, Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa attack Kevin Owens on the ramp. Randy Orton comes out to run them off, but you can clearly see Kevin Owens, while hurt, he's trying to get in the ring. Randy Orton's trying to stop him, saying, no, you don't have to do this. And Owens like, yes, I do. So he limps in the ring, he gets in the ring, bell rings, and they're off to the races. And this match was oh so good. Lots of really good back and forth. Kevin Owens constantly selling his leg. Grayson Waller goes for a flatliner, only gets a 2 count. Goes for the 8-count down, which is interesting. That gets countered. Owens goes for a stunner, that gets blocked. Big old splashes from Waller, including a Tower of Doom spot, which is crazy. Owens goes for a pop-up powerbomb, that gets countered. Andrade goes for the message, but that gets blocked. Owens with a stunner for 2 count. Waller with a knee smash into a DDT. Goes for a flatliner, gets caught in midair, and Andrade hits the message for the win. A clean win in a Money in the Bank qualifier. Definitely a first for this run, but I'm glad it's Andrade. And again, we get continued storyline between the Bloodline and the Babyface team, which need an A. Next, we see Mia Yim. She's kind of healing backstage. In walks Tiffany Stratton, who pretty much calls her shot, saying, I'm going to be winning my Money in the Bank qualifier. At least I don't need... Then Mia replies, at least I don't need Nia Jax for protection. Tiffany Stratton goes to slap Mia Yim. Mia catches it, slaps Stratton back, and then pretty much from out of nowhere, Nia Jax runs through Mia Yim. And, Stratton and Nia Jax then leave. So, we'll see where this angle goes. Maybe not the most interesting story WWE are telling us, but, I'll give it to them. We then get a medical update on CM Punk. He is going to be staying overnight at the hospital, aka he's not cleared to compete, so he's going to be healing up. And next we have our main event. Cody Rhodes makes his entrance. We then cut to backstage. We see Solo Sikoa. And he's in the back. He's getting his wrist tape on, whatever. In walks Paul Heyman, who says, I did your building. I told the Tongans what to do. Told the Tongans what the plan is. And then Solo replies, Paul, you've been breaking commandments on me. Punk was obvious. Oh, no, this is actually Paul Heyman. You've broken some commandments against Roman Reigns. Punk was obviously hands off. Cody is not something you're supposed to handle. Just contain until Roman Reigns gets back. And before he can continue, Solo says, I hate to tell you this, man, but I'm only doing it because I love you. Roman's not coming back. And you just see Paul Heyman's jaw hit the floor. You feel that exactly how he does. Then Solo and Paul Heyman make their entrance. Solo gets right in the ring. Goes for his Samoan spike almost immediately. Misses. Cody fights back. Dumps Solo to the outside. Takes a dive. Gets back into the ring. Goes for a crossroads. But out comes Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Match is thrown out. They attack Cody. And Solo was about ready to finish the job. Out comes Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens still limping. Make the save. Toss Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to the outside. And they have Solo backed into a corner. And he looks scared. He looks ready to just give up. But then he smiles. A very evil, crooked smile. He gets up, and attacking from behind is the debut of Jacob Fatu, who attacks, pretty much runs through Cody, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton, spearing Orton through the barricade. Cody tries fighting back. Jacob with a Uranagi onto the apron. That looked brutal. Then he sets up the announce table, taking off the covering, clearing the electronics. Puts Cody Rhodes onto the table, and it's a big old splash through it. Then Jacob gets back in the ring. He kind of eyes Solo a little bit. Then the Tongans come in, and they're all like, oh, who is this dude? Why? And then they all put up a 1. Oh, ooh, that was a very intense episode of SmackDown. Here's my only issues. I do feel like they kind of rushed the Drew McIntyre Punk story, especially if Punk's going to be out for a while longer. And the matches were pretty much all really, really good. Some different finishes to mix it up. And while I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see Cody versus Solo have a definitive end, that debut pretty much puts Jacob Fatu above pretty much everyone else in the bloodline. Like, he made a great impact on his debut. Now he feels like he could destroy somebody on a whim. So, that was SmackDown. Overall, very, very good show. We then move to AEW Rampage. We start off with a little tag team action, players. As we have Private Party, that's Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, taking on Commander and Metalik. A very interesting team. I don't think they've teamed before, but they definitely should team more in the future. They have some great chemistry together. And honestly, everyone in this match worked really, really well together. A lot of really good lucha libre from Commander and Metalik. But Private Party could match them pretty much move for move. At one point, you had Metalik in one corner, Quinn in another. They both go for a shooting star on downed opponents, but they whiff. A couple of super kicks, eating a Rana. With Private Party eventually breaking out the gin and juice to pick up the win. And as Private Party is celebrating, out comes the Learning Tree. That's Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. Private Party get the jump on the Learning Tree on the ramp, but the numbers are way too much. And security is out to break up the brawl. I do like this setup because, they got a match on Saturday on Collision. So it's a nice little setup. Gets Private Party definitely a much needed win. We then get a nice look at history for Ultimo Guerrero, who's making his debut on Collision for AEW. He's on loan from CMLL, as AEW has opened up the Forbidden Door, which I can't wait for that pay-per-view. So, next up, we got Rey Fenix taking on Turbo Floyd. Total squash match. I think Turbo Floyd maybe got a big boot in, and that was it. Rey Fenix wins with a big old frog splash. And then out comes someone kind of interesting. It's Penta El Zero Miedo, his tag team partner. Although, who knows for much long, because his contract is coming up. Not saying anything right now, but we'll see. And he's out to celebrate the win with Rey Fenix. Which we'll see what happens with not only the Lucha Brothers, but also Death Triangle in the near future. And then, oh boy, this match. This match was wild. As Lio Rush making his return to AEW to take on Action Andretti. And this was an awesome match. It went maybe a little bit too fast for my liking, but I absolutely loved this match. Going for big move after big move. Rush with a Falcon Arrow, only getting a 2 count. Andretti goes for a Burning Hammer, but that gets blocked into an arm drag. Andretti with a Standing Spanish Fly, which always pops me. I love that move Action Andretti does. Eventually, Lio Rush gets in a couple of cutters, hits a big old frog splash from the top to pick up the win. Post-match, you got Top Flight, that's Darius and Dante Martin. They're in, they're checking on Andretti, who's kind of slumped over in the corner. They both have a little moment with Lio Rush. Lio Rush then extends his hand, helps Action Andretti back to his feet, and then he shakes hands with all parties. So, definitely an interesting little moment there. With a little camaraderie between some high flyers. Next up, we got a little bit more of an opening of the Forbidden Door as Shingo Takagi of New Japan Pro Wrestling takes on AR Fox. And this was an interesting clash of styles, with AR Fox using more of his speed over the technical wizardry of Shingo Takagi. And I'm going to say that. Do not underestimate Shingo Takagi. He is maybe not on the level of like Bryan Danielson, but he is really technically sound. Getting a win with a big old powerbomb. And as Takagi's celebrating, out comes his Forbidden Door opponent, Bryan Danielson. They're out. Bryan extends his hand to shake it, and then Shingo Takagi slaps it away and walks out of the ring. So, this is a bit of a match for respect. I dig that. Can't wait to see how that matchup goes. And then finally, a Rampage main event, and it's the Owen Hart Round 1. The Owen Hart Cup Round 1 women's match between Serena Deeb and Willow Nightingale. And while Willow definitely outpowers Deeb using her technical prowess to get her shots in, including an octopus hold, in which Willow kind of repositions Deeb into an air raid crash. Willow goes for a big powerbomb, but that gets blocked. Right into a Boston Crab. Willow fights out of it. Deeb with a decapitation, only for a 2. Willow goes for a cannonball that misses. Deeb with a face slam and some knee tremblers. Goes to lock in the Serenity Lock. That gets blocked by Willow, who hits a couple of uppercuts, bounces off the rope, hits a beautiful pounce that also almost launches Deeb into the second row. Hits a big old babe with powerbomb to pick up the win. And Willow getting her shot for a little revenge against Chris Statlander. Couldn't have told a more beautiful story. That main event, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it's must-see. Because that was an absolutely beautiful main event by these two women. You should definitely seek it out. And Fine Alamo. We got AEW Collision. I know it's been a little while since I've done this, but here we are. And we start off with 6-man tag trios action as Samoa Joe teams up with Hook and Katsuyori Shibata to take on the premier athletes. That's Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, and Josh Woods. And this was definitely an interesting little matchup because, you know, you got Woods and Samoa Joe going one-on-one. You got Hook against all these guys. Tony Nese and Shibata have some great chemistry. And it was just kind of really all technical. Although at one point, Nese goes for a crossbody on Shibata, and Shibata does Joe's walking away spot, in which that pops Joe. If you've ever seen footage of that, look for it. It's an awesome shot with Joe going on the apron. It's so funny. Then near the end, Shibata has, I want to say it's Daivari in the big old armbar. He taps out for the win for his team. We then get a promo from Juice Robinson of Bullet Club Gold saying AEW is not recognizing him as 1/4 of the trio's champions. Oh, and all of a sudden Pac cares about people now. Pisses me off. And why is Jay White not here? He's going to come back with a 10-pack, baby. I love Juice Robinson's energy. He definitely has been missed. Glad he's riding with the Bang Bang Gang again. And we go into this next match, which, it was good in parts. Well, let me just say, let me get into it, as it's Chris Jericho and Big Bill of the Learning Tree taking on Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn of Private Party. And I'm going to say this, the stuff with Jericho, it's clear Jericho's time in the ring, at least for me, should be winding down, because he is not looking so hot. The stuff with Big Bill and Private Party worked, because Big Bill could kind of keep up with Private Party's speed. Jericho obviously cannot, and Private Party now has to slow down for him, which definitely doesn't look great. Anyway, near the end of the match, you have Brian Keith, who is on the outside, grabbing Quinn's leg, eating a clothesline from Jericho. Quinn fights back, tags in Cassidy. It's a beautiful crossbody. It hits a stunner, a cutter. Code Red only gets a 2 count. Quinn comes back in, hits a couple of splashes. Jericho then with a cross chop. Goes for a lion salt, but gets caught. Then Cassidy with a swanton. Quinn with a 450, only for 2. This brings in Isaiah Cassidy. And while Brian Keith is distracting the ref, Big Bill comes in, hits a big old boot on Quinn. And Cassidy comes in, tries to fight back. Tries for a Rana, gets caught. Lion Tamer, he gets into the ropes. Jericho then tags in Big Bill again, hits a big old boss man slam on Cassidy. Big old choke slam on Quinn, only for a 2 count. Brings in Chris Jericho, tries for a Uranagi, that gets blocked into a drop kick almost immediately. They hit Gin and Juice, only for a 2 count. Cassidy goes up for a moonsault. Then Keith hits Cassidy in the back with some kind of weapon. Jericho then crawls into the cover for the win for the Learning Tree. Then post-match, we got an entire Learning Tree beatdown on Private Party. Who makes the save? It's the team of Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Learning Tree go up the ramp. Joe gets a microphone saying, "Hi, Chris. You clearly honor us with the Learning Tree. Well, it's time to come clean. It sucks. We obviously come from different schools of thought. So how about this? It's going to be us three against you three at Forbidden Door." I'm sorry, but why does Chris Jericho need another pay-per-view match? We've seen him. God, I don't understand. Chris Jericho. Well, the match itself was fine. I don't know. I'm just not entertained by Jericho anymore. Like, he was fine as like the first big name AEW signed when they got started, but now he's just kind of name value. Like, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world. He's definitely not over anymore. He's just getting, F off heat. Which is a shame because I like Jericho. Was a once great wrestler and a great personality. Now he's just a meme. And he clearly needs some time off. Anyway, next matchup, it's a championship eliminator match where if the challenger wins, they get a title shot. And the match, it is Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada taking on CMLL's Ultimo Guerrero, making his AEW debut on loan from CMLL. And this match was pretty much a masterclass. This was a look back on the old Okada, the ring general Okada. And they went toe for toe, move for move, almost immediately. Okada a few times goes for the Rainmaker. Guerrero then ducks it, going for a sliced bread that misses. Ultimo Guerrero on a roll-up after another missed Rainmaker, only getting a 2 count. Then Okada goes for Ultimo Guerrero's mask, takes it off, but we never see his face because it's covered by the mask. And Guerrero ultimately gets it back on, right into the Rainmaker for the win for Okada. This definitely adds to Okada's heel character. I'm glad he's wrestling again, too, because I miss seeing Okada wrestle. And seeing Ultimo Guerrero for the first time, that was really cool. I liked stuff like that. Next, we go backstage for an interview with Top Flight and Action Andretti, with Dante Martin recounting his last time in the ladder match where he shattered his leg. That was at Ring of Honor. I want to say it was either Supercard of Honor or Death Before Dishonor, where he landed super bad on a ladder. Which, that image is still in my head. He then continues, "I can't believe I've worked my butt off to get back here, and now I'm going back in, because it's going to take a little bit of crazy to take the TNT title." In comes Lio Rush, who says, "Look, congratulations on the win. Are we cool?" They all kind of fist bump. Lio continues, "Last week, I was a man of my word. I had your back. But come Forbidden Door, I want that title. And let's see who the best is." So, that's definitely very, very interesting. going to be interesting to see what Dante and Leo can do together. We then get a recap of last week's Collision, where the Patriarchy take out Buddy Matthews. And speaking of, we get the entire Patriarchy, that's Christian Cage, Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne taking on the Iron Savages. That's Boulder, Bronson, and Juice Johnson, I think his name is. Anyway, before the bell rings, Christian Cage gets off the apron and goes and sits on commentary while his guys take care of it. At first we see Killswitch kind of handling the two bigger guys on his own. Nick Wayne comes in, hits a couple of kicks, tries for a suplex, gets blocked. Bronson with a backdrop. And then we see the weirdest thing as Bronson forces Nick Wayne into Boulder's chest for Titty City. I guess that's a play on the Nasty Boys' Pity City, if you are of that age, which personally I'm not, but I do remember that. Killswitch gets back in and just ruins absolutely everybody. Tries for a chokeslam, but Boulder is way too big. Clothesline over the top. Then Bronson goes for Killswitch's mask. And then Killswitch military press slams Nick Wayne to the outside, taking out pretty much everyone. Hits a choke slam. Nick Wayne in, hits a Wayne's World. Christian Cage gets back up from the commentary desk, goes back to the ring, tags in, hits a kill switch for the win for the Patriarchy. I love this character work. This is awesome. And I'm going to say this, Christian Cage is doing some dang good work with what he's doing. And it's been a fun thing to watch. Then we get some interesting footage of Mercedes Moné confronting her Forbidden Door opponent, Stephanie Vaquer, in Stephanie's home promotion of CMLL. Ooh, that's pretty darn cool. I love stuff like this. This gets me excited for Forbidden Door season. You never know who's going to show up where, what kind of thing we're going to have. And it's not invasion-like. It's more friendly/unfriendly competition, if that makes any sort of sense. Which I know it doesn't, but you know what I mean. We then go into this very interesting little matchup, as it's Toni Storm teaming up with Mariah May to take on legit Layla Hirsch and Lady Frost. I haven't seen Layla Hirsch in a while. I'm so glad she's back on my TV. And the same thing goes for Lady Frost. Both are extremely talented. And they really took this match right to Toni and Mariah May. This was absolutely great. Layla Hirsch at one point blocks a Storm Zero attempt. Goes for the armbar. But Mariah May breaks it up. Then everyone's pretty much in. Storm and May go for cannonballs. That misses. Hip attacks. Layla Hirsch with a cannonball. Lady Frost with a drop kick. Lady Frost goes up for frostbite, but Toni Storm pretty much yeets her out of the ring. Double suplex by the champ and her protege. Sorry. They both hit dual hip attacks. Toni Storm with a Storm Zero. Mariah May with the cover for the 1, 2, 3. So your winners, Toni Storm and Mariah May. Now, was this the longest match of all time? No. Was it good to see Frost and Layla Hirsch in here? Absolutely. It was a very entertaining match that maybe should have gone a little bit longer, but I understand why it wasn't. We then go to Serena Deeb, who is, going on about her previous unbeaten streak since she come back. But then I had some of the biggest losses of my career, starting with Toni Storm. And right now I'm on the down, but I'm going to stop it in its tracks. So next week I'm begging anyone to step in the ring so I can remind myself who I am. A nice, soulful, fired up promo from Serena Deeb, and I'm excited to see who answers the challenge. That's going to be interesting. Next up, you got 2/3 of the House of Black. That's Malachi Black and Brody King taking on LSG and MSG, which is that's something. Pretty much extended squash match. LSG and MSG definitely had some fight back moments. Eventually, Malachi catches a super kick. It's an elbow kick. Then King comes in. They hit a Dante's Inferno to pick up the win. And as House of Black are leaving, the interviewer comes in, meets them on the stage, with the House of Black, with Malachi answering, "What are these human questions you're asking?" And then Brody King comes in, says, "Revenge is never a straight line. You never know what position we're going to come from." So it definitely seems like House of Black are going to get some sort of revenge on the patriarchy in the near future, which I definitely need. I need to see that. We then have our next match as Hechizero takes on Matt Menard in a weird, just not great matchup. It wasn't quite a squash match because Matt Menard definitely got some stuff in, but eventually he gets stuck in the bow and arrow for a submission victory for Hechizero, which definitely going to be interesting to see him versus MJF. We then get a little bit of an answer on the discourse on why Jeff Jarrett is in the Owen Hart tournament, showing some pictures of Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart teaming together, in which, I knew that. I know a lot of people who knew this relationship, but good lord, all the discourse is just makes me want to pull the rest of my hair out. So, nice little video message from Jeff Jarrett wanting to honor his friend Owen Hart in this tournament. Then we go to our main event of the evening, and it's for the AEW International title as Will Ospreay defends against Brian Cage. And oh boy, this main event. I've said this about a couple of guys, but Will Ospreay can probably have a match with a broomstick and it'll be 5 stars. Holy heck. This match was absolutely awesome. Brian Cage definitely focusing more on his power game, which is always good to see. Will Ospreay definitely using his slipperiness because he got out of an F5 attempt. Tried for an Oscutter. Brian Cage countered it right into a drop kick right to the face. Hits a powerbomb, couple of elbow strikes. Hits an F5 only for a 2 count. He then gets back in, hits a super kick, clothesline, couple more power bombs, only for a 2. Goes for another F5 that gets blocked. Ospreay tries for a Rana that gets caught. But then Ospreay immediately counters into a DDT. Goes for an Os Cutter that gets caught. Cage with a suplex. Then Ospreay going for the Tiger Driver that gets countered. Cage with a couple of super kicks. Tries for a Rana off the top rope that gets blocked. And Cage with a power slam off the second rope that gets a 2 count. Cage goes for an F5 off the top rope that gets blocked into a Rana. Goes for an Os Cutter that gets caught. Cage tries for the Drill Claw. Ospreay gets out of it. Ospreay with a cutter. Hits a Rana. Os Cutter. 2 count. Sets up for it. Hidden Blade to win and retain his title. Ospreay is just one of those guys that you gotta see to believe. He is one of the best ever on this planet, and I won't be hearing anything other than that. So that was a fun little week of pro wrestling. I cannot wait to see what happens next. So obviously coming tonight is Raw. We'll be doing the recap for Raw, Power, and Dynamite this week on Friday. But also coming on Friday, SmackDown takes place from Madison Square Garden. That's a nice little interesting fact, because on Sunday, AEW and New Japan have their Forbidden Door pay-per-view at the UBS Arena. New York cooking right now. Let's see what each promotion can come up with. I'm super excited. I hope you all are too. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.